Hey guys, it's October, and today I'm here to talk about my adventure through the East Blue. Started reading One Piece, and I'm going to talk about whether or not I think that it's worth reading. So I'm going to just start off by saying spoiler alert here. So if you haven't read One Piece or haven't watched One Piece, maybe you listen to what I have to say and you read it or watch it, or maybe you want to read it for yourself, so maybe this video is not for you. Regardless, if you could give a thumbs up, like the video, subscribe, it helps the channel, I'd appreciate it very much. And let's get into this. So with that being said, I'm going to start off with Buggy, right? He's the first villain, or I guess the second villain, main villain that Luffy has to face off against. He sucks as a character. I just don't like him. I don't like the design of just the One Piece world in general. It's kind of cartoonish for me. It's almost like it's like a reverse, where instead of an Americanized like Japanese, kind of like the Avatar, I feel like it's Japanese Americanized to make it look like Popeye or some shit like that. Like, I don't like the art style very much, but yeah, so Buggy's character is kind of goofy to me. Luffy at this point is stupid. I don't like Luffy so far. I'm not enjoying this at all. I also did not like the fight. It's going to be like a lot of pacing for me throughout this entire synopsis of the East Blue. A lot of the pacing and most of the fights is just really slow and dragged on. There's a lot of dialogue that's unneeded. This happens against Buggy. I don't like the fact that, spoiler alert once again, like Luffy kind of like beats Buggy by kicking him in the nuts, right? And so that's kind of stupid. Like, I just didn't like that. I think it's lazy writing. But yeah, so Buggy, don't like Buggy. Okay, not really my cup of tea. So I also did not like the filler arc where they go to the strange animal. It's called Strange Animals, I think is what it is. They go to some random island, and there's a guy that's stuck there protecting treasure that is not even there, essentially. And it doesn't really do anything to push the plot forward or the story or anything. It has no importance at all. So I don't know, I guess some people can maybe argue that it's like a character building moment for Luffy, because he tells them that he's not going to show him the treasure even because there's no treasure there. I don't know what kind of fucking moment you get from that, but you know, there's people that might argue something like that. So mainly, like, the things that I find like pretty good and the things that bother me the most, besides, like, definitely is the pacing bothers me a lot, especially during fights. Some of the people that they fight are very forgetful. Don Creed, I could not even remember his name until just this very moment. And his first mate, Pearl, or whatever, I don't even know if they're pirates or whatever. Like, I could literally care less. The main cast of the Straw Hats, I don't necessarily like so far when reading through the entirety of East Blue. I've come to my conclusion that, truthfully, my top 5 characters would probably be Smoke right now, and then it would be Nami, and then Moo Moo, Chow Chow, and then Zoro there. Or Mihawk. You could interchange those. Not really a big fan of Sanji. However, I did like the backstories of, like, Usopp. I liked Sanji's backstory, was really good. Where he's like on the island with the pirate, and the pirate gives him all the food, and he keeps all the treasure and eats his leg. Learning about Usopp's like father and how he's part of Shanks's crew, and that's how Luffy is able to realize that he kind of recognizes Usopp, and they kind of have a bonding moment over that. That's kind of cool to me. Nami's story in Arlong Park was really good as well. You know, see her as a kid, and you see her kind of being forced to have to like take on this burden to buy back the island that Arlong has captured, even though he has no plans in really ever giving the island back to her. So the backstories for all the characters were really good. The world building is kind of mid to me. There hasn't really been that much world building yet. Like I said, I'm only in the East Blue, so you know. So the villains I really liked that had the biggest impact on me, I liked Kuro a lot, or Kuro, whatever you want to call him. He was really dope. his fighting style was different, and he seemed menacing. I kind of wish he was more the first villain rather than Buggy. I also liked Arlong the most. Arlong was definitely probably my favorite villain. Didn't really like the fishmen so much. I don't really like any of the henchmen or the sidekicks as much as I like the villains. And I hope that every single time Luffy fights, I don't have to see Zoro fight the second mate or whatever. But I would like to see more from Zoro, and I hope Sanji just stops kicking people and does like something else. I don't know if that's just gonna be a reoccurring thing for him. But it's already getting kind of old, kind of getting tired of like the kicking and all that. But so one thing that I didn't like was the introduction to Mihawk. So Mihawk, I felt like could have been built up better through name, kind of like how they did with Madara and Naruto. And then we see him, like glimpses of him, kind of like where they show where he takes Luffy's bounty to Shanks. Like those little type of interactions would have been better than him just coming in and like one-shotting Zoro with a plastic sword around his neck and then just sailing off to sea. Like I thought that entry was really, really weak in comparison to like characters that I know are going to play or have a larger role in the story farther down the line as I go. And so I just thought that was kind of bad writing as well. The villains have been written pretty well for the most part. I think the idea of the devil fruit is interesting, and being able to like navigate around that is something that I want to be able to see more of. I know that I'm not in the part where hockey is introduced. I don't even think it's introduced till after the time skip, so I'm like pretty far off. But you know, I'm interested to see what other characters there are and like see what the Navy looks like. So I mean, overall I probably would give East Blue like a 6.5. I don't really feel like it did a lot for me. The parts that were hard to read were extremely hard to read. Like I could barely get through like a couple chapters before I had to put it down, or I would force myself to read it. The parts that were cool I was able to get through pretty quickly, but like I said, I think there's a huge pacing problem within the manga itself. I don't need to see a lot of randomness and things like that. I'd much rather it be, I understand he's gathering his crew and whatnot and having to get their backstories and stuff, but like I said, when we see the fights and certain events occurring, like I think Luffy is funny for having to run north to meet at the beach to meet Kuro's crew during Usopp's little arc, right? And he's like, oh, I ran north because it was cold. But they do it like 4 times where I'm like, bro, okay, like I get it. The first time is funny, cool, whatever. You keep doing it, I'm like, bro, get to the battle, bro. Or Zoro being stuck on the oil for like 5 pages. That's too long. That's too long. I think that if the pacing was a little bit better, I might have liked it more. Cutting out some of the dialogue that's unnecessary or some of the fighting that's unnecessary would make it better as a whole. But so right now I'm at chapter 101. So I'll make a video once I get to the time skip and we'll see if it goes from there. But yeah, so that's kind of what I think about One Piece so far. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like I said, give it a like, comment what your favorite character is, what the best arc is coming up I should know about, whatever the case is. But yeah, like I said, is it worth reading right now? To me, no. I'd rather reread Boruto or Naruto or something else, but I'm gonna keep reading it, so there you go.